I've got my wireless mic mod going. Had to kill my lamp. Pretty abysmal lighting in here right now. Let's get this antenna up. Volume's at 50%. And we got this cable. Alright, I'm just going to clean up a little bit. The lamp's been a little bit of a wreck lately. And it's really hard to work without that lamp. But, here we go. Alright, first, drill bit. Put that away. A glow cube project. Try to get the rest of his components put away. My PC screws. Those away. Now, I do plan on eventually getting some decent lighting in here. Even lighting, if that. But it all depends on how all these videos come out and how much support I actually get from people like you. And right now I'm podging whatever I can together so I can create content. Sorry, that's making a lot of noise. I'm podging what I can together so I can try to create content, because it's just something I like to do. I mean, I'm just a happy hardware hacker, you know? I've always been that sort of nerdy kid growing up that just always couldn't possibly not take something apart. That's just how I was. In fact, we had to lock up the toolbox because every time I got access to a toolbox, that meant something in the house was being ripped apart. I just had my box of Akaso adapters. So we wound up having, or I should say my family wound up having to lock up all the tools, but I'd still managed to get things apart with butter knives and whatever the hell I could. In fact, I think one of the primary reasons I've gotten into lockpicking is because more than a few times I've had to get my way into a locked tool bin or a locked tool chest. And I did grow up with a family of relative engineers. So most of my family were like auto mechanics, electrical engineers, contractors, that sort of thing. So, you know, luckily for me, I was enriched with all of that kind of good stuff when I was growing up. But at the same time, you know, they didn't appreciate me going out on my own and doing all kinds of weird shit. But it never stopped them from realizing I had this sort of morbid curiosity about how everything worked. And not just electronics in general, but I just love to know how everything works, you know? Science, fuck yeah. Engineering, fuck yeah. Technology, engineering, mathematics. I mean, when I meet people and they ask me, what do I do for a living? And it's so hard to answer because I'm just happy. That's what I am for a living. I enjoy repairing electronics. You know, I don't want to say that I'm like a modern day Renaissance man because I'm not that intellectual. I'm not that skilled. But I'm a man of many talents, and I'm not afraid to learn new skills and trades. Damn you, gravity, you heartless bitch. That's one law I have yet to disobey. And I've tried. You know, a lot of people have the phrase, a jack of all trades, yet a master of none. I prefer a jack of all trade and a bastard to none. Meaning I am not afraid to say that I have minimal training in a specific background, but I want more. Because there is so much out there that I don't know, that I don't even know that I don't know it yet. And on top of having a brain injury with memory problems and anterograde amnesia, I forget more in one day than most people usually learn in a year. And that's something that is quite overwhelming for the peon masses that don't actually accept the fact that someone like me has a relatively severe traumatic brain injury, and I'm still capable of doing you know, all kinds of weird technical crap. I mean, ham radio stuff since I was, what, 12 years old? I mean, you know, you don't always have to go balls deep and learn all of the core concepts of the physics. I mean, everything that I'm doing is just because I have a genuine curiosity on how things work. I mean, how many kids were more excited to get their ham radio license over their driver's license, which I still don't have a driver's license. That's one of the benefits of living in New York City. But that's just how I've always been. Same thing with most of the applied sciences. I just seem to have more of a knack for like the more hands-on topics. There's this philosophy where there's two types of learning. Top-down learning, where you're given something and you take it apart, you learn how it works. And then there's bottom-up learning, where you're basically just given instructions and you follow them. I have always been the individual that has glanced over the instructions and then just looked at the components before the instructions. Look at my materials, look at what I'm working with, look at what I'm supposed to, like, you know, I'm more of a top-down learner, as, you know, even though that's an outdated philosophy. Yeah, I would be considered more of a top-down learner. I learn faster by taking things apart. And I think many people have told me one of my most unique traits is I have a tendency of being able to articulate my thoughts, as complicated as they may be, in ways that are easy to understand, yet are non-condescending. I mean, I can talk about complicated radio physics in ways that are like, you know, simple drops of water in a lake. And when you think about the propagation of radio waves, when a drop or a rock hits a placid, still lake, as the ripples, you know, go out of that, away from that lake, and they cause that up and down sine wave motion, radio waves propagate in the same fashion. Now, if you place big rocks in the way, such as buildings, when you throw a rock in that lake and you see how those waves in the water react, it's, well, the same kind of physics that radio waves work. So if you understand how a rock, you know, skipping across a pond works, you understand how a radio signal skipping across, you know, the atmosphere works. I mean, once you realize that, oh shit, oh, you know, and it just blows certain people's mind, and it's just like, oh, I was just talking to my girlfriend the other day, like, doesn't everyone think this way? And she's like, no, you're fucking weird. You're an absolute damned weirdo. But, oh man, I really gotta clean up my pegboard. It is atrocious. Oh, fucking gravity. I will figure out a way to break you. Of all the laws I've ever broken, gravity, that's on my bucket list. Breaking that law. Alright, well, this was just supposed to be a test video. I'm gonna go and see how well this worked out. I know the lighting was dim. I'm just really hoping that my wireless microphone is actually working. You're not recording?